This is your First Alert Weather Breakdown, a deep dive into how weather works with meteorologist Evan Thomason.
Hey, good morning. Meteorologist Evan Thomason here, and the First Alert Weather Breakdown has begun. Welcome on. It is Monday at 10:30. First, before we continue on, CJ Cartledge, unfortunately, will be out of the breakdown here for the rest of the week. You got me here for this coming work week, and boy, is it an intriguing one weather-wise. We got lots to talk about, from temperature drops to lots and lots of rain on the way. That's our two main focuses here on the First Alert Weather Breakdown. And again, we got lots of change essentially in both the skies and the temperature department. Hope you're excited for the cool down. And that is definitely a vital part of the forecast to definitely get pumped up for. But don't want to look past the rain. This is not just your typical afternoon storms that are going to be, have been typically showing up through the summer, where we have a couple tiny popcorn size cells that just essentially hit one neighborhood and miss the other. I'm expecting a good blanket of rain to potentially move on by. Models have been making us known as to be more a greater size in the storms that are going to be coming through here throughout this week that help to usher in that cool down that is definitely going to be happening here for a good chunk of the work week coming up. Now, there's going to be some areas of the Arklatex that certainly get more rain than others. We'll dive into that in just a little bit, but don't underestimate the rainfall, because we could pick up as much as maybe even 4 to 5 inches just from this week alone, which is a lot of rainfall, especially for summer standards. So, again, brace yourself for lots of excitement building on with those cooler temperatures. It's going to be very impressive, might I add you. I was very impressed just walking into work and be like, I didn't think it was going to cool down by that much, but certainly enough, it will. So enough talk, Evan. Let's get to the actual numbers of everything that's going to be coming on through. Let me first of all, again, introduce myself again. I'm meteorologist Evan Thomason. Now let me show you the full rundown here for the day today. We're talking a major cool down of the way. We're also talking storms with the flash flood threat. I'm going to dive more into the tropics here for tomorrow, mainly because I want to get you hyped up about the big cool down and the storms, which I really want to emphasize that the second half of that bullet point. It is going to be storms that are carrying a legitimate flash flood threat into some areas of the Arklatex. So watch out, especially on those roadways when rain could be stuck in certain areas for a significant portion of time. Meanwhile, we'll have a brief check of your tropics, but I want to dive more into that tomorrow. So here for the day today, let's hop on into it. Live look out into Shreveport and Bossier. You can see a good amount of cloud cover around, actually, here for the day. Still some sunshine definitely peeping on through. But if you look at the clouds very carefully, thin clouds, none of which are really too threatening. The point is we don't have a chance for storms here in Shreveport and Bossier at all. Kind of a similar cloudy outlook there in the Texarkana as well. Still sunshine coming on through, but the clouds very, very thin and very numerous. So I want to get you excited. This is the graphic I literally just created about 30 minutes ago as well. And this kind of just goes to show you the main point of what's going to happen this week. Probably the greatest change in temperature is going to be between today and tomorrow. And the town that's going to see this fulfilled the most is Texarkana. Shreveport's still going to have a good cool down. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But I'm just impressed with Texarkana first and foremost, because they have a projected high of around 96 degrees here for today. Highs are still in the mid-90s here for today, getting very hot. But then come time tomorrow, high temperature projected of 79 degrees. 79. It's a 17-degree temperature drop within a day. That is impressive. Now, some of that's going to come with rain potentially tomorrow for Texarkana. We'll dive into that in just a little bit. And again, there's still plenty of temperature changes for everybody else across the region that we will dive into in just a little bit. But for today, it's kind of your summer hot day, which is actually an outlier here for this work week, believe it or not, even though you would think this is just a typical summer day. Temperatures right now, low to mid-80s all around the region. 84 in Shreveport, 83 in Natchitoches, 82 in Texarkana. So, again, it's hot and sunny here for Monday. But today is pretty much the only day that has the two of those conditions combined. For tomorrow, we cool things down a lot. As you saw with that change in temperature there in Texarkana, it is going to be impressive. It's going to be a big-time cool down here for you, which is going to be very unusual for the end of August. These are the cold fronts we usually get in October. So very intriguing that it's coming essentially at the end of August before even Labor Day weekend around here, which speaking of Labor Day weekend, hey, that is the next weekend coming on up. We're expected to maintain those cooler temperatures. That might be even more of an impressive thing around the region is that not only do we have these cool temperatures coming in, they stay here. It's not just something that leaves after a day or two or back to your typical Arclitex humidity and heat. No. Cool temperatures stay around here for the most part. Not entirely. We'll get into that in just a little bit. But cool temperatures stay in here for the most part. And we're looking to, unfortunately, build more rain showers in, especially region-wide once we reach towards the end of the work week and into the weekend. So temperatures right now, kind of just feeling like a typical Arclitex kind of day. But if you do look up northward, again, these are current temperatures. If you do look up northward, that is your cold front, right? I know those numbers are bundled in, but essentially, watch my blue arrow. That's the cold front. It is just off to our northern doorstep. There are high temperatures today in the 60s across Kansas. It is really impressive how much of everywhere else is cooling down, period, around us. Again, it's not just us, but it's many areas around us. Now, it feels like temperatures up to 90 in Marshall, mid-80s there for Texarkana and Shreveport. Essentially, we have a little bit of humidity in here, but certainly not a lot. And the rest of the humidity is almost going to get swept away along with this rain. So, again, we're keeping you first alert about this major cold front incoming, which we're going to go over two main bullet points, which I've already emphasized time and time again, but just to go over it one more time. Big cool down, but that also means big rain. Lots of rain coming on into the region, specifically big rain totals, so to speak. All right. So let's go over temperatures first and foremost. And just to budge in real quick, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them on our YouTube chat. I see 4 of you watching live here at the moment. Appreciate you for watching live. And if you have any questions about anything, let me know. Chat it up, and I can answer them live on this stream. Anyways, going on into the temperatures, yes, mid-90s here for today. It's expected pretty much region-wide, Texarkana, Shreveport into the region. If anything, there could be areas of the northern edge of the region just seeing the hintest bit of some cooler air. We're talking like up towards Idabel and the Queen. Those areas could get highs only in the upper 80s here for today, but besides that, everybody else is pretty much hanging around with a summer hot day here for your Monday. Then we chug along into Tuesday. That's when the cold front is going to progress into the region, and we're going to have some big temperature discrepancies and differences around the region here for tomorrow. Let me even hide my face because you get highs only in the 70s in the Texarkana there for Tuesday. I mean, we could even be feeling some 60s out for tomorrow afternoon. It's going to be ridiculous. Highs are expected in the 70s here for Texarkana tomorrow. Meanwhile, we have highs in the mid to upper 80s just an hour down south into Shreveport, which, to be fair, again, Shreveport, we're still cooling off from the mid-90s to about the mid to upper 80s here tomorrow, which is still a good cool down regardless, between 5 to 10 degrees cooler here for tomorrow. Meanwhile, southern edge of the Arclitex not seeing the cool down at least for Tuesday yet. The highs will still be expected in the lower 90s if you're in Natchitoches or Nacogdoches here for Tuesday afternoon. So that's Tuesday. Once we get into Wednesday, that's when the cold front finally rolls all across the region here. And by the time the cool air kind of settles on in, we still have highs in the mid to upper 80s there for Shreveport. Texarkana, the highs could increase a little bit back into the 80s here for Wednesday. Meanwhile, Natchitoches definitely cooling things off, and your coolest day out of the next 3 is going to be Wednesday with highs only in the 80s. So to summarize all this up again, highs today, mid-90s for pretty much 90% of the region. Idabel and the Queen might see the slimmish chance of some cooler air filtering into the region to cool them off, but most of that's going to be felt tomorrow. That is high temperatures in Idabel and the Queen. Let me look at you with a straight face on this. That is high temperatures for Idabel and the Queen around 72 degrees for tomorrow afternoon. Just letting that settle in for a moment there. 72 for a high temperature tomorrow. Again, Texarkana, 79, impressive in their own right. Meanwhile, the I-20 corridor is kind of playing with the temperatures a little bit. It's kind of on the edge of that cold front there for tomorrow afternoon, so highs will be in the 80s. Expected around there, where temperatures still getting in the lower 90s there towards Nacogdoches and Natchitoches. Overall, next 5 days, it's quite the roller coaster, but overall, temperatures stay in the 80s for at least 3 out of the next 5 days. That excludes today. Again, today we still have summer-like conditions with still lots of heat, high around 96 here for today. Then we cool things off. Keep in mind, these are the local high temperatures in Shreveport. Highs are in the upper 80s here for Tuesday and Wednesday. Then we do have a brief day where it looks like highs increase. Thursday, highs are back into the mid-90s and appears to just be for one day and one day only, before temperatures cool off once again and get even cooler projected here in Shreveport. High of 83 projected here for Friday, and some of that cool air stays into the weekend as well. So it's going to be very, very impressive here for you. All right. Sorry, I did not mean to click over that. Let's go back into the current check of the Doppler radar here for you. I'm going to check this on. We actually do have some stray bits of some storms, actually, believe it or not. Off to the northern edge of the region, check this out. Good amount of scattered storms up towards Fort Smith and the I-40 corridor. Now, obviously, that's way off to our north. But to be fair, some of these storms are just rolling on the northern edge, the very northern edge of the Arklatex. McCurtain County, technically the very northern tip, is getting a little bit of light rain here for the moment. Even maybe a little light drizzle found around areas just to the northeast corner of Hope. But besides that, most of the Arklatex itself is dry right now and should stay dry throughout most of the day today, except for areas of north of Texarkana, because this is what we're dealing with. I'm zooming out and showing you this full rainy picture. This is the rainy blanket that's heading towards the Arklatex. This all is moving south and east. Oklahoma and Kansas both dealing with rainy mornings in their own regard. And again, this is trying to move mainly east, but some of this is just trying to ever so slightly move a little bit southward as well. And that's where we're going to be catching on and watching here for this afternoon. So I will say it's really interesting because the bulk of the Arklatex is actually going to stay dry for the next 2 days because of how slow moving this system is. But that brings a flash flooding threat to those of you that will be seeing the storms almost stuck on top of you, which is going to be mainly for those in the northern half of the Arklatex. So check out the afternoon. That's where we could see some storms in the areas like northeast Texas, southeastern Oklahoma, and southwestern Arkansas. But it doesn't really reach that much farther south of the I-30 corridor. But if you notice, again, the storms start there, and even into the late night to overnight hours, still more storms coming for areas like the Queen and Idabel through tomorrow morning and even in tomorrow afternoon. The point is, we could be starting with storms this afternoon in places like Idabel and the Queen, and then 24 hours later, we're still dealing with storms in Idabel and the Queen. So while Shreveport and I would say Texarkana for the most part, maybe a slim chance of a storm reaches into Texarkana here for tonight or tomorrow. But overall, my focus is north of Texarkana, just a little bit north into spots like Howard, Sevier, and McCurtain counties where we could have a legitimate flash flood threat here for tonight. The storms staying stuck in place. Once we get past Tuesday, these storms finally look to dry up, in particular across those areas, and it looks like a little chances for storms almost continue in the same spots, believe it or not. This is the latest future track, by the way, and I'm seeing this for the first time, where we keep those storms almost still north of I-30 there for Wednesday. The last future track had those storms moving south into Shreveport there for Wednesday, but looks like the storms stay for a third consecutive day for areas along and north of I-30. So Shreveport, hey, we're hanging around with 3 dry days for the next 3 days, at least all the way through Wednesday. But then comes the rain finally in Shreveport and Bossier. I expected that to happen late this week. So essentially, again, you're dealing with rainy skies in Queen, Idabel, even some spots of Texarkana there for today, tomorrow, and also into Wednesday. Once we get past Wednesday, though, this system appears to finally be unstuck, so to speak. It finally progresses to move into the rest of the region. You'll see that they're starting Thursday afternoon, and especially by Friday. Friday is looking like the worst day of the week, rain-wise, where we're going to have to watch out for plenty of scattered storms and showers. Now, for those of you attending high school football, I know it's the first weekend coming up for high school football. We also got NSU happening. Our NSU's supposed to have their first football game of the year. I believe that's Thursday night. Ruston's having theirs at LA Tech also this coming Saturday, too. So to go kind of into a lifestyle forecast here for you, looks like Thursday night is nice and dry there for Natchitoches, but Friday morning is when we have those storms working into the entire region here for you then. That includes Ruston, and the storms hopefully look to go on by, for the most part, away and out of the Arklatex there by Friday afternoon. But there are some future tracks, not this one in particular, to be fair, but there are some other future tracks which hold on to that chance of storms all the way through this upcoming weekend, too. So watch out for that. I do want to evolve and also look into some of the characteristics about the rain that's going to be coming up here for this week. This is a look at our excessive rainfall risk, which essentially is the National Weather Service telling us, hey, what is the risk of these kind of areas only receiving flash flooding? It's just based on flash flooding alone. Doesn't consider winds, doesn't consider chance of tornadoes, doesn't consider risk of hail. This just considers only flash flooding. Storms stuck in place. And the Storm Prediction Center, associated with the National Weather Service, has already given us a slight risk of flash flooding, which is a pretty substantial risk, believe it or not. It's rare enough that we get the green shade, but anytime we get the yellow shade, that's, I wouldn't say a little cause for worry, but essentially it goes to show you in the back of your mind, just remember when you're heading out the door, and this is for Thursday in particular, but before you go out the door, maybe check your First Alert Weather app, check the radar app, and see if there are any flash flood warnings out on this day, because then that could affect your travels. And always, as always, please turn around, don't drown. I don't want any cars stuck on any roadways because water is overflowing some roadways. So essentially, we could have that problem here late this weekend for Thursday, maybe even into Friday morning for you as well. So that slight risk is in for the northern half of the Arklatex, although the green shade, the marginal risk, still includes Shreveport there and Bossier. So lastly, rain with this rainfall potential map. I don't know, just to give you an inside scoop on this map, I don't know why the color grading scale on this graphic originally used to be so much more clear cut. I don't know why it feels like it's like fading in the background there. But you can still kind of see it, and I'll help pinpoint it out with my arrow. You mainly want to look at the northern half of the region, the darker shades there, purple and red. That indicates the greater rain totals here over the next 7 days, which indicates somewhere in the ballpark of 2 to 3 to maybe even 4 inches of rain over the next 7 days, which is a lot for summer. You usually see this with a good cold front working through, a good severe cold front working through in springtime. Even then, the southern half of the region, including the I-20 corridor, still expected to get at least an inch. You only see blue shades in here, which is definitely more than the green around the Arklatex. I'm losing my voice, my goodness. All right, so that's the first check into all that. I'm going to take a quick break and recover my voice. As you can see, I'm clearly need a drink of water. I'm going to take a quick break. We're going to go over quick tropics outlook, which is mostly quiet, and the 7-day forecast to wrap everything up after a quick commercial break. We'll be right back after this. All right, welcome on back to the First Alert Weather Breakdown. Again, thanks for joining us. Thankfully, while everything around here is certainly active with the rain and the big cool down coming here locally in the Arklatex, we've got the First Alert eye on your tropics. Obviously, it is the peak of the season between August 20th and October 10th. Still got a long way to go, but for the moment, everything is completely quiet. In fact, it's more quiet than it was last week. Ferdinand did form over the weekend as a tropical storm, and it is still a tropical storm now. It's not going to be a hurricane. Good news, number one. Number two, look at where it is. It's directly off the East Coast, way far north of anything trying to get into the Gulf. The point is, this is headed out to sea. This is not even going to affect any of the East Coast of the United States at all. This is going to remain pretty much a weak tropical storm, around 50 to 60 miles an hour. Besides that, it's just a fish storm affecting the fishies, nothing more than that. So Ferdinand is going to go bye-bye here, probably in the next day or two, to be quite frank with you. We were watching an area of interest here over the weekend, but this has been absolutely disintegrated as it's tried to reach into the Caribbean Sea. It now has a 0% chance of formation as of the last National Hurricane Center update, which is good news, which means this is going to completely dissipate as it tries to go westward in the Caribbean and Gulf. So the point is that won't affect anybody. So it's completely quiet here for the end of August and maybe heading into early September. Hopefully we can keep it that way. I want to share with you one more explanation about our whole plethora of weather features found across our 7-day forecast here for you. Let's go day by day. For today, it's almost like a summer hot day. 96 degrees. Still around the region here for you with lots of sunshine for most of the region. If you remember the future track, we still have a slim chance of storms appearing in spots like Texarkana, but most of it's going to happen north of there around Queen and Idabel here for this afternoon. And once it starts this afternoon, it could stay stuck there through Tuesday too. Meanwhile, in Shreveport, the soonest we get the rain in here is going to be for Wednesday. In the meantime, our cool down still for Shreveport happens between today and tomorrow. High of 96 today. We go from that cooling off by 8 degrees or so into tomorrow. High of only 88 for Tuesday, 89 of Wednesday. So essentially the cold front leaves behind the moisture. And the moisture stays stuck in place on the northern edge of the region pretty much Monday through Wednesday for the most part. And what I mean by stuck is it stays stuck just north of Texarkana in spots like Idabel, DeQueen, which could have a legitimate flash flood threat over the next couple days. As those areas, if I had the Idabel 7-day forecast here for you, just so you know, it'd pretty much be all rain here for all rain chances over the next 5 days. Meanwhile, Shreveport's chances for storms start to creep in as that rain finally starts to move farther southward. The soonest that happens is on Wednesday, but I'm only expecting the rain to really progress and move southward into the rest of the region. Shreveport, Natchitoches, everybody included, mainly between Thursday and Friday. That's my main time frame to watch out for that. But I'm still watching out for another system potentially lingering in some storms behind, unfortunately in time for the weekend. And I will say all the rain around also helps to cool us off. A brief jump up in the temperatures there for your Thursday up to 94. But besides that, starting tomorrow, 5 out of the next 6 days, high temperatures are below 90 degrees. I hope you enjoy it. It's going to feel tremendous. We'll be waking up to upper 60s, lower 70s. It's brief taste of fall. Just so you know, the 12-day forecast even features 80s and still below average temperatures past Labor Day. What a wild forecast. All right. That's it here for today. Thank you all very much for joining us here for the day today. As always, I appreciate all your inputs. I appreciate you guys watching, as always, on the First Alert Weather Breakdown. We'll be back here tomorrow. I'm going to go a little more in-depth as to why the tropics has been so quiet. A little bit more here for tomorrow. But besides that, tomorrow I'll also be hyping up the cool down a lot more. I got a lot more various topics on the way here for later on this week. I got an interview, and stay tuned as well later this week. Again, first weekend of football coming up. NSU on Thursday, LA Tech on Saturday, and even high school back here on Friday. That was a kind of a mix of days. But anyways, point is, you get the point. Football's back here later this weekend. We'll have specific forecasts tailored to that, specifically on the First Alert with a breakdown. Be pretty cool. We'll do that late this week. along with the interview. You'll have to see who I interview later this week, coming on up as well here live on the First Alert Weather Breakdown. As for today, have a great rest of your day. I will see you again tomorrow at 10:30. Be there, be square. Most importantly, be weather aware. We'll be right back here on KSLA on this live stream as well. We'll have a special report coming up here from KSLA News 12 after this. But as for First Alert Weather Breakdown, we will be gone. Peace out, and I'll see you again tomorrow.